Good morning, or good afternoon, or good evening. I'm George Sanders, as you well know. This is a new year, 2024. I wish each and every one of you a healthy, safe, blessed, and a prosperous new year that we are in. And God bless each and every one of you. Today I want to talk to you a little bit about what we as citizens here in Littleton will need to do come the town meeting in May of 2024. As you well know, the MBTA housing is a big issue for 172 communities in the state of Massachusetts. And Littleton happens to be one of them. We tried at the last town meeting to pass a bylaw, and it failed by 10 votes, I believe it was. Well, I'm here to tell you that this year, Littleton does not have a choice for longer time than December of 2024 to approve this MBTA housing area for the state. It doesn't mean that you're going to build something right off the bat, but there's a possibility because it is a partnership where the state, the town, and the developer comes together and develop this housing project for the MBTA commuters. What I want to tell you about is the need for us to understand the financial aspects of this project. We have a great chance of having money, funds delayed because Littleton fails to provide the state with approved location of building the house. We have the opportunity to put 20% of the housing within a half a mile of the MBTA. Well, what about the other 80%? Well, the other 80%, thank God, that is going to be counted against the housing that's going to be over at 550 King Street, the 780 units over there. So 600 of those units will get counted against the developer building the 780 units there. This does not include across the street there at 410, which is supposed to be somewhere between 200 and 250 units. So they cited the 600 there, which the state will allow that to be done without any problem. So what we have to do now is find a location there within the half a mile of the train station. So it can either be off of Foster Street, or on Foster Street, or even Taylor Street. Density is one of the things that they are always concerned about. And I believe right now it's an acre, they're having somewhere like 15 units per acre, or somewhere in that neighborhood. And I think that is 2 or 3 stories there. Well, the thing that's important here is that I think the planning board did not do a very good job the last time explaining to the people what really needed to be done. When you select this location, and I said, which I wrote a letter to the select board and the planning board, and this is the letter here that I sent to them, explaining to them that one, we are all in this together. Two, we need to work together as a team. We need to have public hearings where primarily the people that are in the Foster Street community area, we need to meet with them and discuss with them and let them know what we are trying to do and what we need to do. At this time, the planning board has a consultant. Out of all the meetings that I've attended, excuse me, she has not talked about the density on the project or the area that she's been working with. You need to know the density. It's important for her to be at these public hearings to answer questions that you and I and other citizens have about this MBTA housing development. It does not mean that you select a location and 3 weeks later they start building. I don't think that's going to happen. I think selecting one or two properties and saying the people that are in that community, Foster community area and the surrounding there, says, okay, we agree that you can build it here or you can build it there. That is what we are trying to accomplish now. In order to accomplish that, we need understanding from the community, and we need an agreement that, okay, we are okay with this. I understand there's probably 5 to 6 properties there on Foster or off Foster Street, to include a couple of properties, I guess, that's there on Taylor Street. My thoughts are that on Taylor Street, you probably can go up higher on the density versus on Foster Street. What do the citizens need to understand? From my perspective, you need to understand that there on Foster Street, the MBTA train station is there, and they want a certain amount of housing to be close there where their commuters could rent and cut back on the traffic going into Boston. Excuse me. The most important thing that you and I should understand about this is, no matter how much we don't want to do certain things, this is a mandate that came in from the state. And as you well know, housing is one thing that this state is short on, as well as every other state is short on housing. If you look back 2 decades ago and look at the population of the United States, and you look at the population today of the United States, it is a figure that you will say, my God, where are these people coming? They're coming from all over the world, coming into the United States. And as you see now, they are moving immigrants into state after state after state by the busload. So what is it that makes and drives this requirement? Well, you know, the dream of America is that everybody would like to own a home. Nowadays, you can say a condo, apartment, or whatever. The dream when I was growing up in my era was that, you know, they had that nice little white house with the white picket fence around it and so forth. Well, that's a dream that, you know, we all look forward to one day being able to own that home. Well, in order for that to happen, we have to change certain things and do certain things. And in this particular case, what is it that we need you as the citizen of Littleton to do? We need to change the bylaw to cover a designated area that this housing can be developed in. And the thing that's so important about this is that Littleton has a lot of projects that are ongoing at this time. And we, the citizen of Littleton, needs to understand that Littleton is always looking and trying to find funding to fit projects that we have that does not call for local taxes to be paid by you as a taxpayer. That's a good thing. And most of that comes in the form of some sort of grant. There's grants which are federal government grants and there are state government grants. And we're eager to get all that we can when it comes to grant money. Well, what happens if Littleton decides that it doesn't want to be a part of this? Well, come December 24, then you will get the answer. And that answer would be whatever you go in and ask for in terms of grants and so forth and so on, it is more likely than not that there will be a long delay in receiving any grants. And why is that? It's because the state put a mandate in place for housing and you chose to fight the state and say no to it. Well, that's going to hurt us as taxpayers. This is why I'm coming to you now and telling you we're much smarter than that. We're much more intelligent than that. And we do not have the money to fight the state in court. They have more money than we'll ever have when it comes to paying the bill to fight in court. So let's don't waste our energy on something that we know that we cannot beat. Let's apply our energy to finding a mutual location that we all can agree that is okay to put this MBTA housing within that half a mile distance of the MBTA train station. That's what we should be concentrating our energy on, is working together as a community, as a team, to find a property or properties that we can mutually agree and say it is okay to put the MBTA housing there. That's what we want to do. My concern, once we find that, and what I'm going to fight vigorously at, is that whenever, if I'm still here alive, that when they get ready to develop that property, I'm going to fight that what is it that the state needs to partnership with. They need a partnership with the town, and the developer. But also the state needs to cough up some money with this MBTA housing. And what do I mean by that? Well, the 150 units over there is going to require either septic systems or it's going to require to be sewed in on the town sewer system. And I think it needs to be sewed in on the town system, thereby putting a raw treatment plant there to pump the raw waste with a pipeline over to the sewer treatment facility that's being built on King Street now. They need to also help us to find land that can be purchased where we can use as a discharge system, discharge site. Once this raw sewer has been cleaned and you got clean water now, they can be put back into the ground. There's a lot that comes with developing a piece of property. I'm just throwing out a few things that I have great concern about because the consultant has not addressed it. Whatever she's working on, is this going to be sewered into the sewer system, or are you going to put in septic systems? Putting in 150 septic systems requires a large parcel of land beside what you're building the housing on. So I think in order for the state to be a good partner, they also want groundwater to be cleaned up. So in order to do that, we need to use the most current technology, and that is to take raw sewer and put it through a sewer system and clean it up. Nitrogen is generated from septic system and it gets into the water table. What I see is that we need to amend the bylaw to include the 600 units over at 550 King Street and the 150 units off of Foster Street or Taylor Street or on Foster Street. We need to receive grant money to buy land that can be used for clean discharge system, and the state must be a part of that. I also spoke to Representative James Serio, and I told him the same thing, that what Littleton would need his help in ensuring that the state is willing to be a partner 100% in being there to help us to take care of this mandated. So the raw sewage from these 750 units has to be put through, or should be put through, a treatment system. And that's in addition to the capacity that we have. When we went in for the capacity of 243,000 gallons a day, it did not include the MBTA housing. That is already committed, that 243. We are now trying to increase the discharge site up at the high school by another 60,000 gallons up there, which would take care the common area, everybody in the common area. So once that has reached that max capacity, now we have to talk about the 750. Well, that's in addition. At this point in time, the Water and Sewer Department is looking at parcels of land here in Littleton that they can use for a discharge site. They have to be tested and so forth and so on. But the main thing is for you to understand we have to do something, and we should do something that is positive this year with regards to this MBTA housing. We need to find a location or locations there in the vicinity of the 1.5 mile of the MBTA station, either on Taylor Street or Foster Street or off Foster Street, to designate as a location to build a house. They may never build housing there, but the likelihood that is remote. I think that you're going to find that the state has said that there's over $1 billion that they have as a startup on this MBTA housing, and those communities that are willing and going forth and saying yes and do it, the state is going to feed that money into those communities that are willing to go forth and to build this housing. So why shouldn't Littleton be on that list of going forward and getting the monies that we need for other projects? It's not only just the MBTA, but we got many other projects that are ongoing that we're going in and asking the state and the federal government for grants. When you ask for grants, that's money that is being saved by you as a taxpayer, that you're not having to do overrides or taking more money out of the budget to fit a particular and going less with something that the town could really use, because we need that money and we're not getting the grant money. The grant money is very important to the town of Littleton, not only with the MBTA, but for all our projects that are ongoing. We need to continue to have a good relationship with the state. You don't bite the hand that's feeding you. And we get a lot of money coming in from the state through these grants. That's why I come here today to tell you there are going to be public meetings, and we need the people down in the Foster and the Taylor Street community area to come to these meetings and let us know what it is that you agree to disagree with as far as where we should build this MBTA housing. We're all going to have to give and take a little bit, but the most important thing is to come together, work as a team. We're all in this together. We need to resolve this problem. I find a lot of things that we are so backwards in and slow about to move to do something. This is something that I find that the planning board hasn't been right up front in terms of making every piece of information available and telling you and having the consultant there to answer your question and having a public meeting specific with people that in that area who going to be affected more than any other area of the town of Littleton. You need to have these meetings and bring these people together, and everybody's entitled to come to the meeting, but specific in the area of the community. Some people concerned about the environmental aspects of it. You know, if it's too tall, it's blocking the sun that I will get, or so forth and so on. So we need to do a better reaching and bring the people, you the citizen, into this process. We need you in this process. And when we go to the town meeting in May, it is my hope and it's my prayer that we will pass a bylaw that will designate a location on or off Foster or Taylor Street for the MBTA housing. And we will also amend the bylaw to include 550 King Street for the other 600 units which will make the 750 units that Littleton is required or mandated to build for the MBTA. Right now, it's my understanding over in Dracut, they have a requirement over there going back to when Governor Baker was in office, that they was to build, I think, 1,050 units over there, and they were supposed to set aside 50 acres of land for that project. They haven't built it, but you know what? They're talking about it now because why? Time is running out. You have until December 24 to give the state affirmative on this building of MBTA housing in your community. This is why it's so important. And we need to have these hearings, public hearings, so that you, is specific in that area, can tell us what you would like to see in that area. We're going to have to give and take, no matter how we mold or shape it. Littleton has that requirement. It's a mandate. And I am telling you, we need to put our energy in being positive about Littleton. I want to thank you for listening to what I have to say, because I am telling you because I care about how Littleton can and will be effective if we do nothing. Thank you, and have a good day.